welcome back to a new video on this channel, and on this occasion we need to talk about the mixer. If you go right here to the track mix, you will be on this screen, and right here at the top you have a lot of different mixers, so we need to talk about this. If you didn't notice, this is the chapter number 8 of a series. And okay, so if you liked all of this, please like the video and subscribe if you can. This channel is supported by viewers only, and if you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links in the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon. And when you are just working on a track and I'm gonna play it back, in this case I have 3 different programs. I'm using a drums, a bass, and the synthesizer. You could go to the tracks view, but this is not your main mixer. Right here, you can see a lot of information about the velocity, how you can mute the tracks. And this is almost like a DAW, right? You see rows, and then you see the name of each track. But this, again, is not the mixer. When you go to the mix track, you have the mixer right here. And you have a bunch of different options, MIDI, audio tracks, programs, and returns, and so on and so on. I'm going to start with the programs. This is the easy one, and right here, once you get this one, the other ones are going to be super simple. Since I'm using 3 different programs, whatever that comes out of my programs here is going to go out to the mixer of the programs, which is going to be programs. And just like the pad mixer, if you go to shift and you go to the pad, you can see whatever is that's going on. I'm going to go to the right program. Whatever is going on your pads, well, this is the same deal. You almost get the same interface. But this, again, works for programs. Just like the pad mixer right here, you can control the level if you go to the level tab. And if you double tap, you can go down and up pretty easily. I'm going to play it back. Down, going down. Right here, you can double tap the padding, and you can control it with your finger, just like the pad mix, right? If I double tap, it will go back to the center. Now then, you can see your level, pan, and then mute, and everything else. If I go to pan, the most important section is going to be the whatever is that you get right here. Since I am on the level track, when I select a program, in this case is going to be the Velvet Kit. With this one, I can go up in volume and down in volume. And that's the main difference. The interface right here, the representation of what is going on with the levels. If I go to panning, is the same idea, but right here, now what you can control directly is going to be the panning. And that's mainly the difference. If you double tap this, it will give you the panning, and if you double tap the track, the program is going to give you the Velvet Kit, the volume, the level. So this is the main difference between level and pan, right? The interface, and then you can quickly access to the different parts. Now then, of course, at the right side, you can solo the program, you can mute, and you can enable automation, or you can rec automation, enable recording automation. Then at the top, you see the inserts, and then which program that you're using and where is going out. And this will be important in a minute. Now right here at the top, if you want to, you can double tap and you will be getting the programs. And if I change the program from here and just do this, it will be the same as just doing this, right? So there's no difference. So it's much easier to do it with your finger just to select the program. So that's pretty much it. It's not super hard to understand, right? It's just very simple. Now the other options are just a little bit different. Since you have the level and the panning that you can control right here, the next option is going to be the mute. But if you tap it again, you can have the solo. So if you're on mute, you can mute the tracks, the programs, by just tapping, and it's going to mute it. And the same thing is going to be for solo. It's going to solo and mute the other ones. If I unsolo that one, it's going to do it. Again, super simple. Now then, again, we need to talk about the sends, and we need to talk about the inserts. Just like the pad mixer, you have the inserts, and here is where you use your effects. If I go right here and add something, it will show up on the main screen on this program. And right now, if I go right here and tap it, notice that you have 4 dots. So these are the 4 inserts that you could have right there. So just to show you, if I go here and just load a preset, I'm going to go to whatever, it doesn't matter. It has 4 different effects. All right. So if I get out and I go, oh, I made a mistake tapping that one, but that's okay. If I go here, notice that now it's a little bit different. When you are in the first one and you tap it, it's going to let you know what is on the second, what is on the third, and what is on the fourth, and so on and on and on. So that's, pretty much it. You can see which inserts that you have right there. Now, all of this is just going to be a little bit more interesting when we go to routes and when we go to sends. If you double tap the inserts, you're going to be getting the main screen so you can edit. And this is the main purpose of, the level, penning, and inserts. If I go level, double tap, we get instant access to the level. Same thing with the pan, and then same thing with the effects, right? You double tap and then you can edit whatever it is that you want. In this case, I'm just going to kaboom, delete them all. Now then you have your sends and you have your routes. I'm going to talk about the routes in a couple of minutes. But if I go to the sends, right here we have the same deal than the inserts. If I tap it, it's going to show me the second, then the third, and then the fourth. So, what is going on with this? This means that from here, from the programs mixer, we can send to 4 different buses, and they're called returns. If we go right here at the top, notice that we have the returns. So, now we need to talk about the returns so we can talk about the send. Okay, so make sure that you are on the returns screen. Just like you would on a DAW, you can send to an aux track or maybe effects bus, or, you can call it returns. Just, the same name, a different name for the same idea. On the MPC, again, we call it returns, and you have only 4. You don't have more. It's just 4. So let's say I want to send my bass and synthesizer to an effects track, and I want to process both instruments, both programs with a reverb. In this case, I'm going to need to use an insert. I'm going to go to the return number 3, just select it, make sure that you have it selected right there at the top. And right here, I'm just going to be adding maybe a reverb, whatever. It doesn't matter, just something simple. And I'm going to go back, just like the other screen, the other mixer, the programs. Notice that all the options at the bottom, they repeat themselves. If I go to inserts, you can see that you have air reverb. So it's just the same. You can control the level of the return, the panning, and you can even mute it, just like we did with the programs. But in this case, if I go right here, I know that the return number 3, it's using a reverb. So in my case, I want to go to programs. I'm going to be going to the send, and I want to send to the return number 3. And I want to send from my bass, and I want to send from my synth. So if you want to send to the 3, 1, 2, 3, and when you are on the 3, right here with the main encoder, you can, and you need to select this one, you can use this one just to go up and decide how much you want to send. It's a little bit, you need to scroll a lot, so you can do it with your Q links, and you need to be on the send. So if I go here to the second one, I'm going to be sending something from the bass and then something from the synth. And now if I play it back, notice that we have a lot of reverb on the synth and on the bass. That's the point. That's the idea. If I go to the returns shows you that it's receiving something, and then of course is in this case processing with the air reverb. You can even, again, if this is an insert, I can go right here and just mute it, and now we really notice that we have the dry one and not the wet one. We can even, of course, since this is a bus, an effects track, I can go down in volume, and of course I'm going to need to unmute first. If it's way too aggressive, just can go down to make to have the right blend, just like you would do on a DAW. If you maybe you work on Ableton and then you send to an effects track, well, this is just the same deal. You send to the returns, and then you just go down and up, and you blend it the right way. In this case, I'm going to go up, so it's a little bit obvious. All right, so this is what we would do, and you have 4. You cannot use more. If you're wondering why we would send again to an aux track or effects track or whatever you want to call it, returns in this case, well, it's to save a little bit of processing. I want to do the same reverb on both. what am I going to do? I'm going to go to this one, go to inserts and load a reverb, and then load the same reverb on the other one. Well, then no, you are going to be sending to our return and just process everything with one single plugin. Now the MPC works fine, but as soon as you start adding more things, more plugins, more processing, you're gonna get problems, right? So it's not gonna work properly. This is always a good idea to use returns. Always use returns. Now on the return screen, on the return mixer, you can see that it says route. If I go to route, we get this. If I go to programs and I go to route, we get the same deal. So I guess now it's just time to talk about the routes. If I go at the top and select the different mixer, we have the submixes and then we have the main outputs. So this is talking about submixes and main outputs. So okay, so let's just go to the next section and talk about this. I'm going to go back to the Programs tab and I'm going to remove the inserts that we are using right here. Just going to send nothing. And I'm going to be going to the other one, the return. I'm going to go there and I'm just going to double tap just like we did before. And I'm going to be removing. So we are just, back to the beginning. Okay, I'm going to go to the programs. If I select the route tab, we can see that the programs are going out to the default 1 and 2, which is, your main output. I'm going to select the synth chords. Since you are on the route and you double tap, it's going to give you all the available outputs. Now you see a lot of different outputs, but you have up to 8 different outputs. The 1 and the 2 are the main ones that you have out at the back. And then, of course, you have the other ones, depending on how you're connecting your unit. And then you have the out 1, 2, and 3. And these are the same ones, but they are mono, right? So 1 and 2 is going to be by default. If you have it connected, I'm talking about the MPC, on a different way, you can choose the different out. In this case, if I do 3 and 4, and I'm sending right now and going out to 3 and 4, notice that this is playing and it's outputting, but, I'm not getting it. It's because it's on a different out and I don't have it connected to anything. If I go to out 1 and 2, we are going to be getting it. Cool. Now, then if I stop and I go up, then we have something that says sub 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 8. What the F is this? They are buses. And maybe you're thinking, why? Because, we already had the returns right here at the top, right? So we already had the returns. Why do we get buses? Well, this is a different way. This is an effects track, pretty much. If we take it to the DAW world, it's an effects track. It's not a channel. It's not a bus. It's a little bit different. So if I go to submixes, you get 8. Just like the returns, you get 4. For the submixes, you get 8. And again, they work just like sending to a bus. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say that I want to do the same thing again. I want to do bass and then synth, right? And just process with some effects. And notice that on the submixes, you have pretty much the same options. If I go to the sub 2, you can do level, pan, mute, send, inserts, and route. So it's the same idea. I wanted to do the same thing than before, but there's a difference. If I go to programs and I go here and I go route and change the route, I'm going to be sending it to the sub number, 2. Let's just send it to the 2. And this one is going to go again to the 2. So now the drum kit is going to the 1 and 2. Then these ones are going to the 2. I'm routing them to a bus. If I go here to the submixes and I play it back, we can see that the submix 2 is getting the bass and the synthesizer. Now, the main idea of all of this is that now your program, instead of going directly out, is going through the middleman, which is a bus. So now you can go to that submix and you can add maybe some processing and process the bass and the synthesizer with maybe one single rack. I'm gonna do lo-fi. I guess this is gonna be pretty obvious. Yeah, it's gonna be obvious. So if I play it back, this is what we get. So the programs, this one and this one, are going to the sub instead of the out. And then the sub is processing with whatever plugins, whatever inserts that we have. And then and only then it's coming out to the out 1 and 2. And again, if you think about this, all of this is just super convenient because you can process many tracks with one single bus and just maybe 4 different plugins. And this will save a lot of processing power. That's, the plan. Just to give you an example, let's say that you want to pump, you want to sidechain your kick, and you do have a plugin on the MPC to get that effect. What are you going to do? You're going to add the plugin on this program, and whatever other programs that you get? No, of course not. You're going to be sending to a submix, and that submix is going to duck the volume at the rhythm of the kick. If I go to the submixes again, this one is going to out 1 and 2. So we can even just change the whatever this is going. Of course, you cannot go to a different sub, but you can go to a different out if you want to. You can even from here send to an aux track. You can send to a return. Now, maybe you're starting and you're wondering what's the difference with the return and the submixes, right? When you send to the return, what you do is a blend of the dry signal, which is the one that you have on the programs, and the wet signal, the one that you have right here. So it's a blend between both. When you send to a submix, you don't have a blend. It's going directly to the submixes, and the submixes is doing the processing, and then it's going out. There is no blend. Now, all of this is just very useful with pads too. If I go to Shift and I go to the pads mixer, I have the, the kick. If I play it, I can see that this is my drum kit. And this is the pads, I'm loading the drum program. Notice that here you get the route. If I go to route, all of them are going to the program. And this is what we've been talking about. If I go to the track mix, my drum program is going right here to the programs. Well, that's why it's going out to the programs. But if I wanted to, let's say that I want to go to maybe the snare or the clap, and I want to have this processed by a submix, we can do so. I'm going to go here. I'm going to say that we want this sub, number 3. Why not? And I guess I'm not using the clap. Yeah, I am. So I'm sending this one instead of out to the program. I'm sending to the sub number 3. So now I could go to the sub number 3 right here. I'm gonna go to inserts, double tap it, and I'm gonna be adding a rack. I'm gonna just do lo-fi delay. Why not? And if I play it back, the claps are going right here. But I could also go and just send whatever other pad to that submix. It will be processed by only, let me stop it, and it will be processed by only one single row of effects. That's the plan. And alright, so from now on, it's going to be really simple. If I go to the track mix, at the top, we have the main outputs, and then we have the MIDI tracks, and then the audio tracks. The main outputs is just the main outputs. Remember the 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. And I'm back to, what I had from before, from the default state. I'm not sending to anything. So right here, again, we can do the same, go up in level. We can go to panning and change the panning. We can mute the outputs, and we can, of course, control the different inserts if we want one. Cool, like I told you before, once you learn the programs mixer, this one is gonna get easier, very simple. And now we need to talk about the audio tracks. If you have audio tracks in your sequence, they will show right here. If I play my sequence, I have no audio tracks on my sequence. But notice at the bottom, you have pretty much the same options. Level to control the level, pan to control the pan. You can do the mutes, and you have mutes, solo, and then rec arm, because this is an audio track. We're gonna talk about audio tracks in a different video. But then you have the same sense, the same inserts, and the same routing options. It's just completely the same. And then right here, solo, mute, rec arm, and right here you can record. So okay, so far not super challenging. It's just the same thing we've been discussing. Like I said before, this is the chapter number 8. I'm going to be uploading a video, different chapter, just talking about audio tracks, just completely talking about audio tracks. But maybe, you want to know why do we get this. If I go to main and I go to MIDI, when we play everything, all my tracks are drum, bass, which is a plugin, and a synth, which is a plugin. If I want to maybe take one of these tracks because it's just consuming, this is a plugin, of course, it's consuming a lot of RAM and processing power, I could go to my pencil, and my pencil on the track, we can bounce to Audiotrack. And if you don't know what I'm doing, I already talked about this on the chapter number 4. I showed you all the options that you get on the different parts when you press the pencil. In this case, I'm going to go here to the track and I want to bounce to one audio track. It's going to take a little second. And once it's done, it's going to give you an audio track and it will mute the synth and or plugin track. It's going to kind of disable it. So now when I go to the mixer, we have a new track. It will create a track for us. If I play it back, notice we have the 3 instruments. We have the drums, the bass, and the synthesizer. So the synthesizer is coming out from here because it's an audio track. It's not a plugin anymore. If I go to the programs, we can see that the synth, it's off. So when you take something and you use it as an audio track, it will show on its own separate mixer. Like we said, like we discussed before, it's just pretty much the same options that you get with the other mixer. I'm going to go back to a default project. I'm going to start from the scratch because I want to see the 3 programs going out, right? So they are MIDI, they're using MIDI, not audio. And this is why you get, of course, a MIDI tracks mixer. Since we have 3 different tracks outputting MIDI, this is where we can control the MIDI. This is the velocity. If I go down, it's just gonna go down. You can pan it, you can solo or mute the track. Right? Let me stop. You can change the MIDI input. Let's say that you're using a keyboard, an external keyboard connected to the USB at the back, and you want to control, well, maybe you can change the ports. I'm gonna go to the synth, and I'm gonna be sending to the bass. So from this track, the synth track, I'm sending the MIDI to the bass track. So now the bass track is playing the MIDI information that we have on the bass track and receiving the one on the synth. That's why, it sounds so weird. You can do things like this. Now, this view is a simplified, there we go. I'm going to say none. I'm a little bit far from the screen. That's why sometimes it's just hard to double tap. Now, this screen, the MIDI tracks, it's like a simplified view of the tracks view. Not the same thing, but we can control more things from this view. So, again, this is a very simplified view of the tracks view. I'm gonna maybe create a video just showing everything that you can do right here because it looks confusing, but it's just not that much. Now, if you didn't notice, I already showed this on a different video. You have this section. This is your channel strip. This is what is called on the MPC, the channel strip. And right here, you have the same options that you have on the mixer, of course, on the small version. If I go to the crown is going to be your master. If I go here and just trying to find the same section, well, it's going to be your output. Go back and notice that you have the same controls. I go right here. This looks like I go there. It's going to be your MIDI tracks, right? So it's just the same view, the same part, but just on a small version. The quick access. This one, it's going to be the programs. Notice at the top, it says Velvet Kit. When we are on this program, if I change it to a different one, it's going to be the bass, and then it's going to be the synth. This is the programs. If I go right here, well, this one, it says, because I'm using a plugin, I get nothing. But if I go to the drums, it's going to be about the pads. So this is the mixer of the pads. It's not part of the other mixer, is the pad mixer. If I maybe go back and just play a different track, actually, if I go back and play this track, notice at the top is changing. So we can add, process our kit or our pads from here. And then, of course, if you want, you can hide it.